This is the seal of Brandeis University. The seal states truth unto its innermost parts. As we all know, the truth has its attractive components as well as its unattractive elements. Nevertheless, it's still the truth. Using this concept of delving into the truth, let's explore the Muslim Brotherhood and the many faces it presents to many people. In exploring the Muslim Brotherhood, or MB, this presentation provides over 20 footnotes. Here you see footnote 1. This refers to the history of the Muslim Brotherhood by Michel Payson, which is the initial source for this talk. 7 areas will be presented during this discussion. We'll start with the positive face presented by the Muslim Brotherhood to all. Then, since the Muslim Brotherhood was born in Egypt, we'll briefly cover some highlights of modern Egyptian history. After that, we'll provide some quotes of 2 people, the founder of the Muslim Brotherhood and the person who created its doctrine. Next, we'll highlight its motto and strategy. Following that, we'll delve into the multiple faces it provides in 2 places, Egypt and the U.S. And lastly, there's a concluding question for you. To present its positive face, the Muslim Brotherhood provides medical, social services, and supplies to the needy, particularly when the government fails to meet these needs. This also includes teaching the illiterate. Today, the Muslim Brotherhood officially disavows violence, but we'll have more on that later. With all of the worthy endeavors of the Muslim Brotherhood, it should be recognized that these activities provide a cover for their extracurricular Muslim Brotherhood undertakings. Egypt was a protectorate of France and England. In 1921, Britain imposed martial law after strikes and violence. 7 years later, the Muslim Brotherhood was founded. Later, army officers overthrew the king. Nasser became president. In between 2 wars with Israel, Sadat became president. After a perceived Egyptian victory over Israel, Sadat negotiates a peace treaty with Israel. This was followed by Sadat's assassination by an affiliate of the Muslim. Going back to 1928, the Muslim Brotherhood was founded by Hassan al-Banna. He acknowledged the significant scientific accomplishments of the West, but was very critical of the moral decline of Europe and the U.S. His solution to correct this situation was called the Straight Path to Islam, which incorporated violent jihad and martyrdom. It also included anti-Semitism as illustrated by giving translations of Mein Kampf to Bosnian Muslims and characterizing Jews as devil-worshipping enemies of Allah. Sayyid Qutb believed that any society that didn't base itself solely on obedience to God's will was ignorant. Muslims could either be at peace or war with the rest of the world. Given these strident statements, the Muslim Brotherhood's motto was understandable. The first 3 lines are a reasonable statement for a religion. However, the next 2 lines regarding jihad and dying are in the extreme. The Muslim Brotherhood has a very well-conceived strategy called the Islamic trend. It has 2 components, direct and indirect. The direct component creates local groups of trade or specialists to advance Muslim Brotherhood political and social goals. The indirect component recognizes that direct violence can have negative consequences such as terrorism is not appreciated by many, assassination of its leadership, being banned as a political party, as the Muslim Brotherhood was, and jail terms for perpetrators. As a result, after the Sadat assassination, the Muslim Brotherhood stopped direct terrorist acts, but did engage in indirect terrorist acts such as funding terrorist organizations. On the positive or constructive side, The Muslim Brotherhood created 2,000 branches in Egypt in 20 years and 70 branches outside of Egypt. Thousands of people devoted their time to bettering the life of the poor or needy Egyptians. On the negative side, the government of Egypt took over 40,000 mosques in order to control the religious message being given to the people. In 1994, the Muslim Brotherhood reached its height of influence, with 81 of its leaders being arrested in the following. One face of the Muslim Brotherhood is illustrated by Moaz Abdel Karim, who represents the young pro-democratic, pro-women's rights factions of the Muslim Brotherhood, who believe in equality of men and women and who want to create a democracy. On the other side is Mohammed Badi, representing the older, conservative, pro-jihad faction. They wish to bar women and Christians from becoming president, and regardless of the form of government, they want a Muslim board to oversee the state. But even this board cannot overrule Sharia. Now let's travel to the U.S. and explore the Muslim Brotherhood in America. This is the logo of the Muslim Brotherhood's English-speaking website. In the U.S., there are at least 47 organizations affiliated with the Muslim Brotherhood. This chart shows 7 with the founding date of each. We're going to focus on 2 in particular, the Holy Land Foundation and CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations. The stated public Muslim Brotherhood goals in the United States are threefold. The first 2 are rational goals for any religious organization to expand its base and present its religion as a way of life alternative. The third goal of creating a global Islamic state is more problematic as it diminishes the role of America as a state with its own laws and institutions. The darker face of the Muslim Brotherhood is exemplified by Mr. Royer, who was convicted of terrorist charges. The Muslim Brotherhood has a written strategic plan for the U.S. The next slide summarizes a key component of that originally non-public plan. This strategy was discovered as part of the trial in 2008 of the Holy Land Foundation, a Muslim Brotherhood affiliate, where the organization and individuals were found guilty of supporting a foreign terrorist organization. The verdict was upheld by the Supreme Court. The first part of the Muslim Brotherhood strategic statement defines the process that the Muslim Brotherhood will use, jihad. And to eliminate any ambiguity, they qualify jihad with the phrase, with all the word means. Secondly, they expand the jihad concept to grand jihad to eliminate and destroy Western civilization from within. Thirdly, the people who will perform this destruction are to be both the people of the West and the believers. And lastly, the goal is restated as eliminating Western civilization and making Islam victorious over all other religions. The answer to the question of whether the Muslim Brotherhood supports terrorists was provided by the U.S. Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, in which it ruled that since CARE's founding as a Muslim Brotherhood affiliate, it conspired with other Muslim Brotherhood affiliates to support terrorists. In summarizing the dark and supremacist side of the Muslim Brotherhood, a person who left the Muslim Brotherhood in 1998 observed that the Muslim Brotherhood has this idea that Muslims come first, not that humans come first. Now we have a concluding question for you. Is the Muslim Brotherhood a force for good, harm, or both? The question is too important not to answer.